I should be quiet. I'll end up with that duty.
You're on. Okay. You're on, Greg.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Welcome everyone to our May board meeting. Thanks for that. I want to call the meeting to order. It's 7 p.m. Kimberly, could you call the roll, please?
Adam Hemken. Tammy Hines.
Here.
Andrea Corey.
Here.
Greg Meyer.
Here.
Scott Middlecamp.
Here.
Lisa Schumacher.
Here.
Tyson Search.
Here. On to item number 2 is our public comments.
None.
Anybody from the public like to make a comment? Anybody call in?
Nope.
Moving on. Item 3 is our correspondence. That needs to pass around. Do we have any correspondence?
Do we have any board correspondence?
No, I'm sorry.
No correspondence, all right, perfect. Item number 4 is our consent agenda. Everybody had a chance to look over that?
Of note, right now, bills are being run and they're up to date. So the amended budget that you've got at your table is an 11-month actual cost. You got your last bills or the board bills at your table today that are included in this, and it's really just trying to get everything up to date. We've got one more payroll to go through and a few more state payments to come in, but that's why you've got bills at your desks and we're just trying to get that ready for the next thing. For postings, there is one more vacancy. TJ Menard, 7th grade boys basketball, got added to the list of resignations. So there should be 8 there. You should have Megan Boyd and Jeff Davenport, which were added from the last email I believe that was sent out. So there's just one more with TJ Menard.
Was that a typo? Because I saw girls basketball.
That was a typo.
Okay.
I believe he is boys basketball.
He is, but I just saw girls.
Yeah,
So,
that would be probably my fault. I
so
apologize.
that's okay.
Other than that, I kind of went through all the personnel stuff. This is really just for the summer and for the next year. I will say that if I get a resignation between now and the next board meeting for a coaching position or something, I'm gonna post for it. And then I'll bring it to your board, the next board for your approval, but just, especially with athletics, because of the summer contact hours and whatnot, they need to get that a faster turnaround. So other than there being a lot of personnel items, we do have a guest, Alyssa Smith, in our audience. She's going to be the recommendation for the assistant superintendent position. I'm going to ask for the board president to go into close or ask us to go into closed session so that you guys can have a discussion with her prior to the vote of the consent agenda. Is there any other questions or concerns prior to that? Okay.
All right, with that, we will remove Alyssa Smith from the consent agenda and give her
Well, no,
some
you can
personal.
vote on it all together. You can vote on it all together unless you want to separate it out afterwards.
You want to go to closed session now, or?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Yeah, but I have to do this first, Bob.
Thank you, Danny. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Linda. And roll call vote, Kimberly?
Adam's still not here. Tammy Hines.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Search.
We need to close the door.
See if we get it on the way out.
And then we need to record the closed session. right, welcome back. We're now in open session, 7:28 PM. Report out of the executive session. Report out of the executive session.
There's
We
no
are out of
decisions.
report, out of executive session, for now, the administration just needs to, administration recommends that you approve the consent agenda as presented.
Maybe you'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Lisa, thank you. For a second.
Second.
Scott, thank you. Kim, roll call vote, please.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Yes.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken.
Yes. I'd like to welcome our new assistant superintendent. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
On to our items for action. We'll start with item A. So, I'm sorry. Getting ahead of myself. The communications, recorded presentations, administrative reports.
We have the enrollments, I believe, in front of you, and then the principal's reports distributing today. Parkview.
All right.
Hi, everybody. I want to start off by congratulating Mrs. Overfell, our art teacher at Parkview. Her art fundraiser, Square One Art, raised $4,376 for our PTA. Last year was $9,000, but that's because we were in person, and during this time, this was in the fall, we were remote, so it kind of hurt our sales. But this is a fundraiser that the art teacher, her students' artwork is featured on items purchased by family and friends. And all the money's donated to PTA, which helps our district. This is an example of one of the art projects, so the students would make something and then they put it on an item. Everybody would like a coffee mug, right? All right. So Parkview's been wrapping up the school year with spring benchmark testing for 2nd through 4th grade. And we had our IAR testing, state testing for 3rd through 4th grade. Several remote students came in person to complete the IAR test, as they were not given a remote option for that. The IAR tests were administered this year by the state of Illinois, even though results would not be used as an assessment measure for teachers, schools, or districts. Also, Parkview 3rd and 4th grade girls completed a Girls in the Run season in person this year with the local 5K run at City Park last Thursday. It was a beautiful day, perfect day for it, couldn't ask for a better day. 40 girls ran and completed the 5K in front of cheering family members, district, faculty, and staff. The crowd lined up all along the mile track cheering on our girls as they crossed the finish line. It was really a neat experience if you were there, just to see everybody. And the girls were pumped. They said there was just people all along there, so it was really cool. Girls on the Run coaches included Miss Boyles, Miss Long, Mrs. Elliott, Miss Baldridge, Miss Hentis, Miss Wilson, Mrs. Mize, and retiring from coaching Girls on the Run for 15 years is Mrs. Heidi Donald. She, her daughter Erin is a 4th grader, so she's done after 15 years coaching. I also want to thank all the parent volunteers for their help with the race. Columbia EMS was there to make sure that everybody was okay and taking care of any medical concerns. The coaches had said that maybe this is something that we do every year. They do the downtown race also in St. Louis, but this year was canceled. So that's why we held the event here on our own. But we may do something like that next year again, along with the downtown event. Coming up here next week, Field Day is back at Parkview. Last year got canceled, but students will be participating in our end of the year activities next week in person. Students and staff will celebrate the end of a memorable year with some competition as students compete in activities that test their running, jumping, throwing, and shooting abilities. So we're hoping for some dry weather. Also, I'd like to thank PTA for always taking care of our staff and students. We've had snow cones, teacher appreciation snacks, luncheons. We got a food truck coming. PTA just knows how to do it right. They've done an exceptional job to help with staff morale this year. That's all I have.
On to the assistant superintendent report.
I'm gonna pale when compared to Mr. Dugan over there. So, as he stated, this is our testing time of the year. And we concluded our MAP testing. Elementary students already came home with their MAP scores to their families, and the middle schools, I think, we're going out today or tomorrow. So parents in grades 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 will get them. And then the data from that we use school-wide for planning. So that information, actually, I ran some reports today and sent those out to the administration, but they will use that to kind of look at how this year went, and then to make some decisions for next year as well. The data is also used for our summer school small group planning. The remote learning, we sent out an email to all the families asking that if they were considering remote learning for their child for next year, if it was an option and they knew they had to submit medical verification for that. And there are 20 responses to that. Some of those are, within the same family, but so 20 individual students. Within there, of course, there's probably some, because some didn't follow directions when they answered the questions. So within there, we would, be double checking that. It was very clear in the survey that just because you submitted that didn't necessarily mean that it would have been approved. So we're still working on that. I know our board attorney has provided us with some documentation, but as you know, we've received some messages from the state superintendent and some communications that their verbiage can sometimes be confusing on what they intend. So they put the word "and" in there, and that "and" can change things. So we are waiting for some clarification and interpretation on what some of those things are meaning for planning. And sent out a survey to our teachers. It is open until the last day. But right now I have 40 responses, 3 main questions, basically asking them, what did they take away instructionally as a professional that they, from this past year, that they could use and take forward? What is something based upon this experience could we maybe discuss getting rid of in the field of education? Not necessarily remote learning, but what is something that in this situation we could say that's no longer necessary? And then just what would you like your administrators to know? So very open-ended, and like I said, we have 40 responses thus far. So we'll be using that information to make some planning decisions too. So this time of year for my office is primarily data for the state, for our report card, and then getting ready for registration, which we will start making sure all those documents are ready to go and communicated, and that's about it.
All right, I got a nice visit today from Mrs. Mitchell and Mrs. Jansen. They are representatives of the Columbia American Legion Auxiliary Post 581. They gave me $800, $200 for each building. They're for their library to go to work the books, and so I'll be having my administrators see that. We had a nice conversation, and that's funded through fish fries. And I look forward to the Friday fish fry going down to the Legion and getting that food. So I'm putting a plug in for them. Right now, there's really just 2 things that I want you guys to be aware of. The first one, that there's a change in leadership at the House of Representatives for Illinois. Speaker Madigan was replaced by a different Democrat. And as much as I was thankful for the change in leadership, with changes of that, power, vacuums, control, typically at this time, educators are used to getting roughly 100 bills that come at us for various things. Some of them become laws, some of them don't. We are now looking at 600 bills just for education alone. Some of them are, is strange, like there's a bill that we need to have 30 minutes of recess time, kindergarten through 8th grade. This will count towards your 5 hours of clock time, but it will not count as PE, so you'll have to have PE on top of that. There's another one that's going with the dress code, which is just an odd thing that the state would mandate dress code. But in that one, they added an amendment that concerns me. Right now, if we don't follow the rules, they can take away our status as a school, right? This would actually give them more leverage to be able to look at our evidence-based funding. And they would not give us our payments, they would put it aside, and then once we make compliance, we would then get our money. And so it's a lot of little things like that that are concerning to me as you look at the details, the devil's in the details, and you gotta get that worked out. This kind of goes to the second thing, and that is we're transitioning back to normal, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm looking forward to a year where I can attend all of the sports without it all being crammed into a smaller season. The plays, the musicals, all those things are going to be returning. The state is going to be sending us guidance, as Dr. Castelli pointed out, a little and in the middle of a sentence. One person reads it this way, another person reads it that way. My biggest concern is a couple-fold. One, while we, downstate schools, were back in session for the most part because we were pushing that 6-foot rule, the collar counties in the Chicagoland weren't. So what happened? They said, well, now if you're 3 to 6 feet. Well, we were closer than 3 feet on many occasions, and that rule then made it more difficult for us. Some of these rules that we're looking at with the transition, I'm concerned that as they try and make rules for the entire state, we're doing more things already with the safety of our kids that we're gonna get messed with. For instance, the vaccinations. You know, we can't mandate vaccinations, nor should we really mandate parents to get vaccinations. However, I'm concerned that there will be rules, and I don't know if there are, but I can see rules coming down that if you're vaccinated, you don't have to be quarantined. You know, adults, personnel. I mean, it's not just the students, but it's also the adults and the personnel and what we're doing. We've got HIPAA rules, we've got things that we're trying to find. And I guess I'm still asking for that grace. As we move forward, we're gonna be all in. We're gonna be a normal school year. I don't know if we're gonna wear masks or not. I'm hoping we don't. I would assume that we don't because we're gonna be in phase 5 soon. But I will tell you, the state is going to do some rules, and Carmen Ayala, our state superintendent, made a recommendation for the state board to pass today. And that statement is a little confusing as far as vaccinations, masks, quarantines, and things of that nature. So we do look forward for their information, and when we get that, we will share it with everybody as we know more. It is the end of the school year. Summer's going to be interesting as we move for next school year. And I'll keep you posted on the changes, but I'm very excited to get back to normal. And when I say that, I do mean having events and filling the halls again and all of the great things. I feel like I haven't been superintendent this year. Haven't been able to get out and meet people. Haven't been able to do a lot of things. And, here's to next year.
I have a question for Dr. Castelli.
Sure.
The testing, Mr. Hingan had mentioned that the state's not going to be using the testing results.
Mhm.
Do you know what happens to the state report card then?
They just like they did this year, they put other data there and your ranking stays the same. So they just don't change your like commendable or anything like that, but or they could potentially use other factors and just remove that one from it. So it's just a piece of the puzzle that they won't use in determining it.
Thank you.
Other questions? Now we're on to items for action. We have a whole laundry list here tonight, so we'll start with item A, which is approval to extend the terms of the Mystic Employment Benefit Pool.
Yeah, this is a yearly action items, and what we do is every year we do 3 years with the understanding that in December we can not do the other 2 years and we can go out to bid. Last year there was discussions as to whether or not we wanted to go out to bid. I would recommend that we get a committee to start looking at that, to see if we wanna do that, because we wanna notify NISBIC, in December. And so when we get to the committee discussion at the end, I'm gonna ask for some people to meet with me on a somewhat regular basis to talk about insurance. But with that, I would recommend the board approves the terms of the NISBIC employees benefits pools as is presented.
Discussion or questions?
Is this, are we part of a couple of different pools with them? So is this just the employee benefits portion? Or,
I believe that this is just the employees benefits portion, and all of the other, the properties and all those other things are going on to bid for right now.
okay, gotcha, thanks.
Questions, comments? Then I entertain a motion to approve the extension of the terms of the NISBIC employment benefits pool.
I'll make the motion.
Here a second? I'll second. Thank you, Alan. Kimberly, can you do roll call, vote, please?
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Abstain.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
Motion carries. On item number B is the appointment of the NISBIC employee benefits pool board members.
Yeah, and now that we are a member of their pools, we need to have the board appoint a person to attend those meetings and to vote. The recommendation is that that would be me, and in my stead would be the assistant superintendent as the alternate, so that's the recommendation.
Comment or questions? Then I entertain a motion to accept Mr. Grody as the designated board member with the assistant superintendent as the alternate.
So moved.
Thanks, Scott. Second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Lisa. Kimberly, roll call, vote, please.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Motion carries. Item C is the approval of the intergovernmental agreement between DuPo Community Unit School District number 196 and Columbia Unit School District number 4 for the Joint Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps units.
Yeah, the ROTC is something that we've been doing for quite some time. Last year, we were expanded that to an EMT class. As we were looking through that, we don't have a document that is officially signed off on the ROTC, and so the recommendation is that we continue that program. It's not new, but that we sign off on that, and then we'll have the document signed by both boards.
Any questions, comments? I did notice on compensation, it just said proportional amount, but is it based on, it didn't really say.
The number of
student or-
students.
Based on students, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood that because I thought it said that DuPo was paying 50%.
And that's on the other two. That's on the ag and
The classes that we're gonna share
the,
with.
the German and those.
This is just the junior ROTC
Okay,
and,
yep.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right, the other two said 50%,
Yeah,
and this one
yeah.
said proportional amount, so I
Okay,
didn't,
no, thank you, no problem.
I had the same question.
We normally have a pretty good number of kids that. have
ROTC is really
right?
high. I don't know what EMT made, if it made this next year, I don't know, there was some, this was the first year, and so I don't know how it did.
Well, EMT, first year in remote, you can imagine.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I hope nobody got certified.
Without,
Were you certified during remote?
Any other questions or discussion? With that, I'd entertain a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between us and DuPo for the RTC. Thank you, Tyson. Your
I second.
Andrew seconds. Kimberly, roll call, please.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes. All right, motion carries. On to item number D. Letter D is the approval of the intergovernmental agreement between DuPo Community School District number 196 and the Columbia School District Unit School District number 4 for the German class courses.
As we've spoken, ROTC, we send students to them, we do that for the EMT as well. This would be them sending us students for German class. Our German numbers are a little lower, so we're welcoming the extra heads in those classes. We're gonna have a whole section of, it looks like DuPo students. Mr. Reeves met with them to kind of talk about the logistics, not just, you know, it's easy, like ROTC is nice because every grade level, it's always first period. Well, we wanted to make sure that with German and with the next program, Ag, we can figure out how you grow with that, you know, because you don't have German 1, German 2, German 3 all in the same period, like you do ROTC. And so they needed to be aware that they were gonna need to be sending kids to us at different times as we grow into this. And they worked out all the logistics, and so the recommendation is that the board approve the intergovernmental agreement as presented.
Questions or discussion? Then entertain a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between DuPo and Columbia for the German class.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Lisa. Second? I'll second. Thank you, Adam. Kimberly, roll call please.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Motion passes. On to letter E, which is approval of the intergovernmental agreement between DuPo Community Unit School District number 196 and Columbia Community Unit School District number 4 for the agricultural education courses.
This is very much like the German classes. I was invited to the FFA awards banquet, and so I got a little bit of a history lesson, which was nice. And our ag program, actually, our FFA started sending kids over to Waterloo. And that's how our program started, and now we have our own program, and so we're hoping that we're gonna bootstrap DuPo into getting their own FFA program by having them come over and be part of ours. And so the recommendation is that we approve the intergovernmental agreement as presented for that one as well.
Any discussion or comments? With that, I entertain a motion to accept the intergovernmental agreement between DuPo and Columbia for the agriculture education courses. Thank you, Adam. Second?
Second.
Tyson seconds. Kimberly, roll call please.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Right. On to letter F is the approval of the school resource officer agreement.
This is another one of those dotting i's and crossing t's. We don't have a fully executed document for this. We have Officer Hopkins that comes to us, and he's done a wonderful job, and so this is just wanting to get the intergovernmental agreement as presented. So I believe that you were the only one that signed it last time we approved it. So we'll get the city and the chief and whatnot to sign off on it as well.
Yeah, because we passed it here.
We did.
Didn't realize they didn't sign it.
Sorry.
Right. Any other discussions, questions? I'd like to echo what Chris said, our resource officer, I think is very top notch, and we're very lucky to have him, and actually sign him up as quick as you can. With that, I entertain a motion to approve the Safecourt, the school resource officer agreement.
So moved.
Thanks, Scott. Second,
I second.
Andrea. Kimberly, roll call please.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
Motion passes. And the letter number G, letter G, is approval of the 21-22 administrative practice evaluation framework.
Kind of like the PARA, the Performance Evaluation Reform Act, administrators have their own needs for being evaluated. This was a document that is in line with the laws and all the codes and requirements, timelines, et cetera. I piloted it this year with the administrative team, kind of went over it, looked at the stuff, and worked through the steps. So what I'm asking is for the board to officially approve this, and then that will be our administrative evaluation framework.
Questions? With that, I entertain a motion to approve the 2021 to 2022 administrative practices evaluation framework.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Tammy. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Lisa. Kim, roll call vote, please.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
Motion carries. Letter H is the approval of the amended 2021-22 school calendar.
Yeah, this is, when we first did the calendar, we kept trying to get clarification on election day. We were told that it's election day is a holiday, and the way that they passed the law was you have to take every November 1st Tuesday off. I said that there's no elections, and anyway, long story short, we got it approved with it being a holiday as we were told to do, and then we were told that we don't need to have that day off. My recommendation is to actually make that an attendance day. All this will change is it pushes everything back, so even if we have the 5 emergency days, we'll still be out before Memorial Day, which everyone loves. But yeah, I say let's go to school on that first Tuesday of November.
Were there any other changes? to it?
No.
Just, okay.
So the last day of the year and the election day are the only ones.
Did we look at Labor Day?
Me and Mr. Kish went over the calendar,
Yes.
and I don't know what calendar he had, but we had it on the right day.
Perfect.
And I did tell Mr. Kish, because he had it written down, attendance, no bus for Tuesday before this, and if you don't pass this, then I've got to call him and say, there's still no bus, buddy.
I just wanted to make sure in case parents had written things down and we did have it incorrect, okay, thank you.
We're not rescheduling Labor Day, right?
We are not,
That's good.
it's on that Monday.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right, with that, I entertain a motion to approve the 2021 to 2022 wrong one, school calendar. I'll make the motion. Thank you. Make a motion, I second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Andrew. Kimberly, roll call, please.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp,
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken.
Yes. Motion carries. On to letter I, which is a light reading for everyone, the approval of the 2021 to 2022 student handbooks.
Hopefully leaving the edits in there helped your being able to skim and scan with the recommendations that you approved the handbooks as presented. We're gearing up the registration, we want to be able to send this out to the parents.
And thank you for having Barney go through that, because I think there are changes every year. Is that something we plan to do each year?
Yeah, it's, an IPA gives out a draft recommendations of what the changes are, much like the IASB sends us board policy updates. They do a handbook update, and it's a little behind the curve because.
Yeah, the recommendations that you see that we added are actually not recommendations based upon the current legislation that we could potentially see come out of those 600 bills. So in August, there should be another one, so there may be some things that we need to do an amendment to and notify parents, but we won't know until August, unfortunately, and we've already done registration. So the changes you see there are consistent K-12. Barney did a deep dive on all of ours for last registration, and so the only thing that we changed was what IPA put out.
So will we have to have another vote, when Courtney leaves the district and Alyssa comes on, because we're approving the 2021-2022, if
My
Courtney's
name
name is listed?
No, because that'll just be an
Okay,
edit.
all right, I didn't know if we had to vote.
Because they'll go through and change even names in there, of
Okay,
like staff.
and that stuff like that, so we don't have to vote.
No,
on
it's
all
the,
that.
it's
We're
the
just approving
policies
the
that you're
language.
dealing with,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Or we could just call her back.
Sure, I'll come back, no problem.
We don't print those anymore, correct? They're all online, so those changes are very, very easy.
We don't kill them each week's work.
And you could even do it through like a form on Skyward that if we updated it and you wanted to have parents verify, we could do it through a form that they could do online. And so it'd make it a lot easier.
Cool. Any other questions, discussions? With that, I entertain a motion to approve the 2021 to 2022 student handbook. Handbook plural.
I'll make the motion.
Tammy? Second.
I'll second.
Lisa? Beat you to it. Roll call, please.
Greg Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search,
Yes.
Adam Hemken,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Motion carries. Under J is establish the public hearing date and time to amend the 2020 to 2021 school budgets.
Yeah, so what you have, you'll have a budget at your table, at your place, to be on review. We recommend that June 17th at 7:00, we do our hearing, public hearing for the updated amended budget. And then we do this board meeting directly to follow. When you look at this budget, the budget summary is the page I always go to. It talks about the revenues and all the expenditures, and it shows you if you're in the black or the red. Of note, the budget that you've got here is 11 months. We still have one more payroll to go through, and we still have a couple more general state aid claims or evidence-based funding claims to come in. And so, originally, we passed a budget that estimated us to be about $700,000 in the red for the education fund. I reminded everybody that we had a budget that we passed originally the year prior that was at 0, and we ended up 700 in the black. And looking at this and projecting, I think we're gonna be much closer to breaking even this year than thought to. When you look at the operations and maintenance and you see $1,549,000 in the red, I want to remind everyone that we sold bonds that were revenues last year. We did a big project, and some of that project was paid this fiscal year. And so the revenue came in last year, we paid it this fiscal year. Yes, we're in the red for this fiscal year, but the money really kind of comes out as a wash. And so on the budget summary, that's kind of the front page, but if you go to the second page, you'll see on line 81, estimated fund balances. And right now, we're looking at very healthy fund balances, so we're doing just fine. But this is again preliminary, and it will come to you again next month. But we squeezed out pretty much everything that we have and putting it in there. I've been approving expenditure reports. Julie Napier does a wonderful job in making sure that we can try and get all this stuff timed out, because we have to do the payroll, and then what we have to do is go on to IWAS and do an expenditure report, get that approved. And like, she calls me and says, hey, expenditure reports are there, because once I approve it, then the state will send us the money for those expenditures. And so trying to get the money in before the end of this fiscal year. Point of that is June 17th at a regularly scheduled board meeting, we'll have the public hearing.
And we'd like to make a motion to schedule establish the public hearing date and time for June 17th, beginning at 7 p.m. with regular scheduled board meeting following directly after.
So moved.
Thanks, Scott. Right now. Second, got it down. Kimberly, roll call, please.
Scott Middlecamp.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher.
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes.
Adam Hempkin.
Yes.
Tammy Hines.
Yes.
Andrea Corey.
Yes.
Greg Meyer.
Yes. That concludes our items for action. We're moving on to the discussion items. The first one is assign members to standing board committees.
And this isn't an action item, but I would like to know who's going to volunteer for the board policy committee, the parent teacher advisory committee. There is a behavioral intervention committee, but really a lot of times that serves as the parent teacher advisory committee. It even says in the board policy that those can be double duties there. And then, as I said before, I'd like somebody to help me to look at insurance like we did with facilities last year. That's a side project, so that's not a standing committee, but don't all.
And this is more of a housekeeping item. The board policy says we're supposed to establish these committees. Whether we use them or whether we don't, we need to have them in place in case we do need them, instead of just being a little more proactive. So looking for volunteers.
I'll volunteer for the policy.
How did we know that?
And then we also have a few other committees that we have people on already, correct? Like the
Safety.
safety committee, on that. I think there was another committee we wanted to form.
Well, there's three that are mentioned in the board
Oh, the
policy.
diversity committee is one, that way back, remember, way back when
Yeah.
we had talked about it.
Yeah, that's gonna probably be with Ms. Smith, and as we do the maps and try and get those documents together for the community to see what we teach, when we teach it.
Well, let's start with the board policy committee. So We have Adam volunteered for that one. We need access to.
I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, and then we have our parent-teacher advisory committee.
I'll volunteer for that.
Thank you, Andrew. You guys are awesome. Thank
I'm sorry, who's the parent teacher advisory?
you. Andrea?
I know, I'll volunteer for that too.
All right, and then the behavioral intervention committee. Would you do something like that on a realtor?
So,
I can tackle that one too.
Tyson? All right, perfect.
And is there anybody that wants to help me with insurance?
Craig would be perfect.
Right.
Schneider.
I knew the fingers would start going back my way.
You know a lot about that, right?
A little bit.
I mean, nobody knows insurance better, so do we even need a second person on that one?
I'll do that.
Excellent, thank you all.
All right, then we still have the safety committee with Tammy. Is there anything else anybody think of, the committees we need to?
we talked about, I can't remember, it seemed like we talked about another one.
It was diversity.
It was the diversity one.
Right.
That was it.
Is that included in this one, or is that a separate?
No.
thing we need to-
Chris
No,
just
we'll
said they
get
were
that
gonna
one
do it
started later.
with curriculum.
Take care of that. The next one is really the only item I added to the agenda, and this is for individual board comments. When I joined the board, if I had something I wanted to say, it was always difficult to find the spot to put it in. You don't want to interrupt, you don't want to put it in where it doesn't belong, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for anybody to share your thoughts, ask questions, bring up topics. Basically, board policy says we can discuss anything. In fact, we have to, because of the meeting law, we have to discuss things in person in public forum. So I just wanted a safe space that we could open up the floor. Anybody wants to make a comment, suggestion, whatever, this is it. So I plan on having this on the agenda every month. So if anybody would like to,
How did the retirement party go, yesterday?
It was nice. It was nice, there was probably around 50-some individuals there.
That came and went, yeah. I looked on our social media, and there was also it was Eagle Night at the ballpark. So, there was quite a few people that were there, but I know that Kim checked with everybody before we picked the date, and everything was clear. So it was, one of those things, but there was quite a few individuals that had attended that, so. But no, it was good, and we had both last year and this year.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so that was nice. I
Yeah.
think we had more from last year than I think from this year almost. But, that was,
that's made some good speeches, so.
yeah, it was
It's always nice to
Well,
listen to
organized.
people talking about their colleagues, some of the funny stories that they remember and it's good.
And, so who is invited to that? Is it just the current faculty? Do you reach out to other retired
It is,
faculty or?
it's just generally on a regular year, it's the people who are retiring. They can bring family members if they so choose, and then our current staff. And it could be, all staff, can attend. So that's the way it's been in the past. Doesn't mean it can't be modified, but that's just the way it's been.
I, as a senior parent, wanted to congratulate and accolade Brian Reeves on the graduation ceremony. Despite the weather, despite everything against us, he pulled it off, and it was great. And so as a parent of a senior, that, everything that we've gone through, it was outstanding. So I was very impressed. Just my 2 cents on that.
It's nice handing her diploma.
It
to
was,
her.
and she didn't repel, yeah, it was great. But no, you could tell he worked his tail off, so I was very happy.
It was, I sent them an email Monday.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of comments that, they like the sharp, sweet graduation ceremony, not the one that lasts for hour, 2 hours, the in and out,
45
get to the
minutes.
point, you know, and do the diploma and be done, yeah. I've heard a lot of talk about that.
Very positive.
He cut my speech.
Anyone else? Thank you all. All right. Board member prerogative, I don't have anything other than to, thank you all. Actually, I will say something here. I am very, very proud of the board that has assembled here, and we all have such diverse backgrounds and experiences and personalities, and I'm just really excited for the direction of the school and the district, and I'm expecting great things. So thank you all for volunteering. This is a job that's not for everybody, and of course it pays worth it. But other than that, thank you all for volunteering and do what you do. So.
And we got nothing for closed session.
All right. We have nothing for executive session, so with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I think Scott beat you out. Okay.
I'll second.
All right, second. Give me a roll call, please.
Adam Hunkin,
Yes.
Tammy Hines,
Yes.
Andrea Corey,
Yes.
Craig Meyer,
Yes.
Scott Middlecamp.
Aye.
Lisa Schumacher,
Yes.
Tyson Search.
Yes. Our meeting's adjourned at 8:09 p.m. Thank you all very much.
I can tell by the way you're moving. I don't know that, 'cause,